Well, let's go ahead and get started. I think this is probably it.
No, we got one more.
One more? Okay. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Just sit anywhere.
It's fine. No, you're
There
good.
you are.
I was like, there's some phones.
Yeah, this is my phone. No problem.
Good.
Can you guys see the monitor? Okay, is it too bright or anything? Okay. All right, I'll be standing over here. Just like to welcome you guys to the active shooter survival training. One of the things that we noticed is that we have been giving this training all over campus, but we had not given it to our staff yet. So you guys could be in a classroom and something's going on, and everyone else would know what to do, and you would be like looking around like, okay, why are they running, or why are they ducking behind desks and chairs? So we said, okay, let's go ahead and do something for our staff. So this is an actual passion of mine. As you all know, just on November 28th, we had the incident at Ohio State where a person used a vehicle and a knife. So it was really not an active shooter. It was a kind of sort of an active killer type of situation. And in some venues, it's actually called active killer. But just because the term sounds so bad, we kind of stick with active shooter. But this is really something to really think about, because so often we think about someone's going to have a weapon or a gun, firearm. But in this case, it was a vehicle and it was a knife that was used for this situation. So this really is, this is going to lead into something else that we're going to talk about in terms of survival mindset. You can see right here, this pointer is not showing on the TV screen, but the last bullet there talks about survival mindset, and that means that you have to have situational awareness. You have to know where you are, what is going on around you, who is standing around you, who's walking up behind you. For instance, when I was at a conference in a nearby state, my hotel wasn't walking distance to the convention center. And so there was a late night reception. I said, okay, I'll just walk there. And as I was walking there, I noticed this guy kind of like he was walking towards me on the opposite side of the street. And he just started crossing the street, coming towards me. And I said, man. And he kind of like got behind me and just started coming up behind me. So I was aware of this, but most people would say, okay, this person's just crossing the street. Well, I actually just turned around to him and just had on a real mean face and said a few words. And he said, oh, no, fine. He was really coming behind me to ask for money. So, but I was aware of where I was. I was in a strange city, and so I had to make sure that I was set to go. For instance, situational awareness also has to do with knowing where you can get out. What are your escape routes? For instance, when I go into a restaurant, I'm going to always sit with my back facing a wall so I can look at the front door and see who's coming in. And while my wife and I may be having lunch or dinner, I'm going to always be scanning that front door and see who's here and who's sitting where. And if somebody comes in yelling, screaming, cursing with a weapon, I'm going to run out. I'm going to grab my wife and I'm going to leave. Can anyone tell me where is the best place to run if you're in a restaurant? Anyone? Out, but which door? Which door? Because this person is coming in through the front door.
In the back door, or go through the kitchen.
The kitchen, there you go. The kitchen is always the best place to run out, because most people tend to leave through the same door that they came in. And so that front door is blocked, so people start panicking. But the kitchen door is going to always have a delivery door. And so you can always run out, and there are knives hanging around, pots and pans for weapons, and boiling water that you can maybe throw on someone. So those are the things that you have to think about. So when you're out and about, not just on this campus, but at the mall, movie theater, always make sure you know where the exits are. always practice coming and going through a different exit so that just in case that exit is blocked, you have a way to get out. So today, the purpose of this training is really kind of talk briefly about active shooter events and give you an overview of how law enforcement is going to respond, and then give you some survival options. Amy Bishop, University of Alabama, Huntsville, February 12, 2010. The reason why this is so significant to me is that my campus, where I came from, was a mile away from this campus. And I actually responded to the shooting. Amy Bishop was trying to get tenure. She had tried for years. She didn't get it. She waited till a faculty meeting, went inside. The meeting was going on for probably around 30 minutes, and she just pulled out a weapon, boom, 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 boom. And then her weapon jammed, and that one person that she was aiming at was able to run out and call for assistance. So I actually responded there after this happened, my officers and I, and when you see it on TV, it's different from actually being there, because there was just chaos. Everyone was running. There were so many police agencies there that I didn't even know were in Huntsville, from federal, state, county, local police. So this is why this is so dear to me. This is the building where the shooting took place at. It's known as the Shelby Center for Science. This is about the size of a football field. So it took about 6 hours after the shooting for teams of officers to go floor by floor, room by room, janitor closet by janitor closet, to really make sure that this building had been cleared out, right? So, what do we know? We know about active shooters that 40% happen in businesses, around 30% happen in schools, and 19% happen outdoors, and others 12%. That can be like a military base, hospital, those are the places. The actual breakdown: males tend to be your active shooters, and then come females. There is no racial or ethnic profile for an active shooter. And there is no age. The youngest active shooter was 13. The oldest was 88 years old. I don't even know how that, I guess the person drove or they wheeled a man or something. 45% of the shooters had no connection with their site, meaning that if we were to have an active shooter on this campus, there's a good 50% chance that the shooter has nothing to do with Idaho State, just a person from off the street. Also, we know that shootings have happened in 40 of the 50 states and Washington, D.C., and the average of 11.4 incidents annually. This is going up some because it's actually going up each year. And 40% of the incidents, the shooter was neutralized through citizen engagement or suicide. That's one of the reasons why the protocol for dealing with active shooters has totally changed, because when you look at what was happening with Columbine back during the late 90s, the protocol was that if you have an active shooter or anything going on, you call SWAT. Nobody goes inside. SWAT is called out, and in Houston, Texas, where I lived for about 30 years, SWAT, they don't just drive around with their helmets on and flak jackets on. They are actually the officers who serve high-risk warrants. So if someone is a dangerous person, they're going to send a SWAT officer or a SWAT team to arrest that person. So they may be all over the city. So when you call SWAT, it may take them 40 minutes just to show up. And once they show up, they have to open their trunks, put on their gear, get out there, and then they have to march. You know, they got a line. It's by that time. So what happened in Columbine? Most of the people who died, a lot of them who died, actually bled out because they didn't go into that building for over 3 hours. So, but what we have found is that shooters tend to commit suicide once they hear the sirens, once they know law enforcement is en route. So that's why now law enforcement goes in right away, because they know that if the shooter is there, there's a good chance the shooter will commit suicide. And then this gives you the numbers. There have been 160 active shooter events from 2000 to 2013. About a third of those have happened in K through 12 schools and 12 in incidents in the institutions of higher ed. And 60% of incidents ended before the police arrived. That's why you have to know what your options are. So, what does law enforcement do? As I mentioned, this has changed from Columbine to, it started off with that the first 4 officers who show up on a scene must go in to engage that shooter. So therefore, there was regional training with state troopers, campus police, city police, sheriff's department, federal officers, because you never knew who was going to actually show up. So everyone had to be used to working with each other and make sure they have the same techniques. Then it changed to where now it's the first officer who arrives must go in to engage that shooter. Why do you think that happened? Why do you think there was a change? Just a wild guess. Good answer, because most police agencies have limited staff. Most police agencies have maybe 3 to 5 officers. Now, we're used to living in a city like Pocatello, Boise, Salt Lake City, where there may be like 100 officers, and there may be 30 officers working at any one time. But if you're in Income or Rexburg, they may only have 2 officers working, and their backup may be 30 minutes out. So that's why the protocol changed to say that the first officer who shows up has to engage the shooter. The average response time is about 3 minutes. For us, on this campus, it's probably around 30 to 60 seconds. I'm not sure who may have been working when we had the active shooter scare at Garrison. Yes, and I didn't really think that was real. When I heard it on my radio, I stepped outside the office. Okay, I don't see no one. Oh, okay, there they come. And I saw the officers running out. Vince was running out. I saw Josh was running out. So I said, ooh, this is real. So I grabbed my vest and ran out to my car, and we got up there probably within about 30 seconds. But what we were doing while we were driving, we were looking for urgency. We didn't see anybody running around. We didn't see any cars leaving, anyone shouting or pointing or anything. We also had a unit that was monitoring the local channel for PPD. They had no traffic whatsoever. So our adrenaline was kind of coming down as we got closer and closer to Garrison. And the only thing that we saw once we got there was a young man was trying to lock a door. He was doing a lockdown, which we really don't do anymore, because we want people to be able to leave or else come in. And so we were able to find out that that was really a false alarm. So if there is an injured person who has been shot, law enforcement has entered the building, and they're stepping over that injured person. Why do you think they're doing that?
The primary objective is to get the shooter to stop.
Absolutely. So if someone's bleeding, help me, I've been shot, whatever, they may make a note, they may call that in where that person is, but they're not going to stop to help that person, because their goal is to stop the shooter, to engage that shooter. Now, this protocol is changing, and that's how everything in active shooter survival, it just keeps changing every 6 months or so, because now you're finding that EMTs are now going in with law enforcement. They are being trained that it's okay to go in. Normally, the fire department, EMTs, they view it as a hot zone. They're not going nowhere near until law enforcement says it's clear. But now they realize that people are bleeding and that it may take time to find that shooter, and so they are now going in with them. Something that is happening here when it talks about the team that is unique. This is really unique. Our staff are non-sworn officers, armed, but the local police, the Pocatello PD, they have agreed that we will go in with them. That is unprecedented. Law enforcement, they don't like people who are not law enforcement going in anywhere with them, because they feel like, well, you don't know what to do, and now I have to watch you, and you may get hurt, and you may get me hurt also. But because our officers have been through post-training, they have finished post-training here, they are armed. We go out to the firing range twice per year and qualify. But one of the main reasons is that we have so many cameras on our campus. So it makes sense to take us in with an earpiece, so as the dispatchers are telling, okay, he's on the 3rd floor, left wing, he's wearing a black shirt with orange writing on it, black male, 5'9", 5'10", 200 pounds, close. Okay. And so the officers know exactly where to go, because if there are no cameras and if there is no guidance, you're going from floor to floor and you're hoping that you really don't want to hear gunshots because you know someone's being killed or injured or shot at. But yet and still you want to be able to find the person. You don't want the person to get the drop on you first. So by our guys going in with the local police, making it part of their team, it's really a win-win. We have decided that if there is an active shooter, we are not waiting for local police. I mean, like if we can hear shots being fired and we're right outside that door, we aren't waiting. Our guys are going to have to just go in. That's just how it's going to happen. So, what options do you have? Run, hide, fight. Have you all heard of this concept? Okay, so have you seen the video also? You seen the video? Okay, good. Run. This is the first option. If you can get out, get out. And don't let anyone hold you back. This is your life, okay? And sometimes we tend to want to listen to someone say, oh, no, those shots are too close. Stay here, stay put. You just move them out the way, and you look for, okay, no, the exit door is right here. I'm going to run out real fast. Boom, just go, leave. Because there was a study done, and I believe it was 2014, with the Philadelphia hospital system. They did a study and found that 80% of gunshot wound victims live because of the medical science that we have. So if I get shot in the arm or somewhere else, if I can still run, I'm going to still run. So that's me. I don't care if the guy's right there and my door is right here and the exit door, I'm gonna slam that door open and I may zigzag around back and forth, and then I'm gonna shoot out that door and just keep going. So, but let's say you're on a 2nd floor. You're in a 2nd floor classroom building. The shooter is out there, your classroom doors won't lock. What options do you have for running? Exactly right. Morgan?
Not a lot.
Well, you may have to break a window with a chair, and you may have to jump out the window. Now, I'm not saying jump. You may have to get out on the ledge and hang down as far as you can, which gives you some less space to actually fall, especially if there are bushes down there or a flower bed or mulching and all those types of things. And you may break one leg, right? Let's say you break a leg in your left collarbone and you stub your pinky finger. Are you still alive?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. You may have to take the line of least resistance. You may have to look at your options. Okay, I can stay here. There's nothing in this room that, to where we can barricade this door. This guy is coming towards us right now. You may have to break that window, and you may have to climb down and jump out. And you may be injured, but you will still be a living, breathing person. So you kind of need to pre-plan what you're going to do. One thing that I did with my children is that I taught them how to leave our house blindfolded. And I wanted them to, from their bedroom, just in case the lights went out, there's smoke, they can't see, they have to crawl out. We actually taught them that to where they would leave their room. They said, okay, this is Daddy's and Mommy and Daddy's room here. So I know the bathroom door here. Okay, then there's going to be a stairway with a handrail on the right, left-hand side. Go down that way. I know the patio door is right in front of the stairway. The slide is on the, and they were able to do that. And so, we never had to use that. But my point is, you have to pre-plan how you're going to get out. Even your classroom buildings, make sure that you go take various routes in and out. Look for where the exits are. Look at your classroom doors. Do they lock from inside? Look at the doors here in this building, you know. Where is your safety net at? And then try to help others if you can. But if someone is having a meltdown, oh no, if they're like over in that corner and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do, we're gonna die. You know, you can help for about 3 seconds, and then you need to leave. And that's why we have this type of training, actually, to let you know that it's up to you to get out. So let's say that you can't run, that you have to actually hide out. You know, we don't want you to put your head in a hole like an ostrich, but you need to barricade yourself as much as possible. So for instance, in this room, if we started hearing shots upstairs on this end, we should probably go up this door and out the front, all right? But if we can't get out and we don't know where the shots are really coming from, we just hear screaming and hollering upstairs, then what we may want to do is just try to roll this smart board in front of this door, put some tables up against, I mean, there are just different things that we would have to do. Or just find a room that actually locks in this basement area. You want to silence your cell phone. Does anyone know the difference between concealment and cover? You probably would not know that. But concealment is when you're hiding behind a curtain somewhere, okay? Nobody sees you, no one knows that you're there. Someone can still shoot you. Cover is where you are hidden and you are protected as well. So hiding behind a tree or a very sturdy desk or a concrete block wall, that would be actually cover for you. So let me give you some examples. Here's a copier being rolled in front of a door. These guys have put chairs and tables up and then they're hiding out there. This person is actually using their belt and tying it around a door handle, and you can actually have about 2 people to hold that belt, but you have to make sure that you are behind a block wall because someone can shoot through the wall. You can also use a belt or a tie to tie around the door closures right here, okay? And that will keep that door closed. People will not be able to come in. So, you try to run, you can't run, you try to hide, you can't hide. The only thing you may have to be able to do now is to fight. This is the last option that you really have, is to fight it out. And you're gonna have a plan of action. You have to be very intentional. You can't be scared like, oh, I think we can maybe, or we should probably know. You're gonna say, okay, you've got some hot coffee there. I want you to take the lid off of your hot coffee. You've got some cold ice water. You're gonna stand right over there by the door. When he comes in, you're gonna throw that hot coffee right to his face. Well, you're gonna kick him in the family jewel areas. You two are just gonna scream, and you're gonna go for the gun. All right? Did y'all want to swap that out some? Okay. So someone has to go for the gun. So you come up with the plan. Even the orange juice, you know, just someone throwing something on you is gonna like, you know, make you like put your hands up or throw you also. And then we also have the chairs there. We have this microphone. We have keyboards. We have a backpack. You're gonna have to find whatever, and the fire extinguisher right over there in the corner. That's one of the best things, okay? So you can either use it to hit someone with, or you can just activate it. I mean, that's a hot fire there. Okay, so you have to act with aggression. You have to act as though your life depends upon it, which it actually does. So what I'm gonna do right now is show you the run, hide, fight video. How do you want to open this? I can do this. Can you all hear that?
But if you do, you need to be prepared. I'm Officer Adam Tabor with the OSU Police Division. I'm here to
Ohio
help you
State.
improve your chances of
This is
surviving
their
an
video.
active shooter incident. The Ohio State University Police train countless hours to be prepared for emergency situations such as this. Our #1 priority is to keep you safe. Make no mistake, you can survive an active shooter incident by remembering and planning ahead to take 3 important steps. Run, hide, fight. If an active shooter or similar incident requires the campus community to stay safe, our emergency management division will send what's called a Buckeye Alert. These are often sent via text message as soon as possible after determining that a threat exists. A Buckeye Alert will contain the most accurate information available at the time, but an active shooter situation evolves rapidly and known details may be limited. That is why it's important for you to remain observant and use your senses to be attentive to your surroundings at all times. If you encounter an active shooter or receive a Buckeye Alert affecting your area, the first and best option to survive is run. Get out. Quickly and safely evacuate the area. If you can get out, do it. Scatter and run. Get as far away as you can. Once you're safe, call 911.
911, where is your emergency?
Make sure you tell the 911 operator, who may be located within the city's dispatch center, that you are on Ohio State's campus. Running away should always be your first priority. But what happens if you hear gunshots and you are unable to get out? Your second reaction should be to hide. If you're in a room, lock the door.
That was really fast.
Look for something to there.
Yeah.
Turn off lights. Silence your cell phone. The idea is to make it as hard as possible for the shooter to see you, find you, or get to you. And always spread out. Don't huddle together. That creates one easy target.
I'm sending the alert now.
The alert says the shooter is in the building.
If running isn't an option, if hiding isn't an option, there's one final reaction that you should only use as a last resort if confronted by the shooter. Fight. Find anything to use as a weapon. Fire extinguisher, chair. Fighting back is a last resort. But if it's between you and the shooter, we want you to survive. When preparing yourself mentally for this fight, remember something. Statistically, active shooters are apprehended or eliminated within the first 5 minutes of the incident. Once notified, our officers will respond to stop the shooter. You only need to fight until they do, and that could be 10 seconds away, the most important 10 seconds of your life. It's scary to think about, but an active shooter is something that we all need to be prepared for. Whether you're a student or a member of our faculty or staff, take time to know your surroundings. Know at least 2 exits out of your room and building. Take different routes into and out of your buildings to become familiar with every possible escape route. Look around in the room you're in right now. Find areas where you could hide or items you could use as weapons. 3 simple words could save lives. So remember, run, hide, fight.
Okay, that's the Ohio State video. We have actually done our own video that's in production right now. We've actually shot a video on all 4 campuses, Twin Falls, Meridian, Idaho Falls, and here, because we wanted to make sure that when we show our video, everyone said, hey, I recognize that building, or I recognize that classroom, and so forth. So we hope to have our video ready by January 1. But I think it's going to really be great because we can really show our own campus and people will know what they're looking at. So let's talk briefly, because we're almost done. Enhanced concealed carry. What is the mindset of law enforcement? Law enforcement knows there is an active shooter. So anyone who has a weapon out is the active shooter, whether you're just walking around with it or whatever. So you have to understand that we're not going to try to decide who we just see a weapon and we're going to say, drop the weapon, drop the weapon. And if you're like, who, me? Well, right then you have pointed that weapon at me. And you have the right to use deadly force towards me now. So understand what your role is. Your role is not to go out chasing after the active shooter. That is not your role. Your role is to protect yourself and others who may be close by. So if the active shooter comes in through the door, yes, but you should not go out into the hallway trying to find the active shooter. Because what happens if the active shooter turns around and draws down on you? You've drawn down also. Law enforcement comes in from behind and only sees you and says, drop the weapon. You're like, no, but he's right there. I can't drop. No. So you're only there to protect yourself. And when law enforcement shows up, when they say drop the weapon, just throw it down, hands up, because we want to see fingers. We want to see hands. Okay, in closing, victims are selected at random unless it's a targeted type of violence. These situations happen very, very quickly, 3 to 5 minutes, and it's done. So that's why you have to take action on your own, because law enforcement may not actually be there. Be aware of your environment, take note of all exits, and as a last resort, be ready to take the active shooter down. Remember, you can survive. Final note, sometimes people get kind of ramped up and scared because they, oh my goodness, we keep seeing active shooters. But let's put it in perspective. There are 7,234 institutions of higher ed. There are over 129,000 K through 12 schools. Now, from 2000 to 2013, there have been a total of 160 active shooter events. So, right now, if you look at that, there are 136,000 schools, colleges, and 160. And we've already saw that only 29% of active shooter events really happen on a campus. So if you look at that, and even if you look at our campus, we probably have at least 80-something buildings on our campus. It's going to probably only happen in one building. So your odds of really being involved with an active shooter on a campus or school are very, very slim. They are very slim. There's a greater chance of being struck by lightning, actually. And so that's why we do this training, because it's such a hype. The media has hyped it up because children are involved, students, faculty, staff. So just wanted you to have it in perspective. You probably have more danger at a mall or at a box store, restaurant, than you have on a college campus. Okay? And what can public safety do? We can do walkthroughs, we can do active shooter drills, and do this type of training. Contact information, you all know how to reach us. We're all in the same building, okay? Any questions, comments, thoughts? Nothing? Okay, well, good enough. Well, thank you guys for coming in. And please feel free to partake of that, even if you want to take it back up to your desk or something. If not, I will take it home. Thank you guys so much, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
This is good, because keep telling both coordinators that they should do this. Now I understand what it is.